In Mass Effect Andromeda, the reason that the initiative was launched in the first place was to explore another galaxy, seeing what lay beyond the edges of the Milky Way. At least, that's what Jean Garson, the founder of it all, was hoping for. She, being fairly influential billionaire herself, funded most of the money for the operation, yet she eventually ran out and was unable to finish the project. That was when she was approached by someone calling it, or themselves, the Benefactor. For ease of writing, let's go with it. So this Benefactor not only funded the rest of the initiative, but was also the reason Alec Ryder came with them. Alec, after being dishonorably discharged from the Alliance for his development of SAM, was out of money and contacts. But same as with Garson, the Benefactor approached him as well, offering to provide all the money he needed if he joined the initiative. First, let's clear out the why part. It's a pretty simple answer, at least on the surface. Why did it fund the initiative and push the expedition to disembark so quickly? The Reapers. This Benefactor somehow, even before the Battle of the Citadel in 2183, suspected an impending threat to the whole galaxy. After Shepard revealed the true reason why Saren went batshit insane, the Reapers, the Benefactor, only got his suspicions confirmed and wanted to save as many people as possible. This leads to the question, how could it have known? No definite answer, sadly. All of this whole video, is speculation. Before Shepard learned about the Reapers, it somehow suspected a threat powerful enough to wipe out an entire galaxy, which begs the question, who would think about something like that? Before the battle, the biggest concern everyone had were the Geth, and they are definitely not powerful enough to wipe out the galaxy. The Collectors might have been powerful, but by the time they were taken on by Shepard, the initiative was already in its finishing states. So, and this is the main part of the video. Who is the Benefactor? I've seen lots of theories thrown around on the Mass Effect subreddit. It boils down to a few main suspects. I assembled a list that every suspect has to go through in order to find out if they could be it. The main goal, wealth, intel, and whether it's dead or alive. And last but not least, is that person willing to work with the cat? You might ask yourself, the fuck? Cat? I'll explain later. The Elusive Man. A large group of people seem to think, somehow, that the Elusive Man is the Benefactor. And don't get me wrong, I can see the appeal. He fulfills almost all of the criteria. He's unbelievably rich, able to afford bringing Shepard back to life and funding all of Cerberus, not to mention building an upgraded Normandy. He also has access to classified intel. While not able to access everything, he can mostly get whatever he wants. That all aside, he's dead. He couldn't have given the order to kill Garson after they arrived. But now the 2 points that make me doubt he's the Benefactor. First, his personal goal is to preserve humanity, and humanity alone. He doesn't give a damn about alien races. All he wants is to save humans, no one else matters. You might say that he did it as a cover-up, because he didn't want to piss off the other races. But then again, he got a whole organization behind him. If all he wanted was to settle Andromeda, he could just as easily have sent people from Cerberus who would have kept quiet and just flew off. Last, I sincerely doubt that Tim would be willing to work together with the cat. He's incredibly racist and xenophobic. That's the whole point of his organization. His willingness to let Shepard work with aliens comes from the necessity of it. Morden alone was the only one able to work against the Seeker swarms, at least in the time given. With more to spare, he could have put a human on it, but the Collectors didn't wait for that. The Shadow Broker. This involves both Liara and the Yark version of it. Once again, I can see the appeal. One of them is infeasibly powerful, controlling a whole network of classified intel and moving millions of credits with the press of a button. Liara's main goal initially is to study Prothean artifacts, which later shifts to saving the galaxy. But there's one small problem that people seem to forget. The initiative sets off for Andromeda the year the Shadow Broker DLC starts, so she can't possibly have had the resources to fund it before that. She knew about the whole thing, as shown that she sends messages to Alec, but only at his request. The Yark version of the Broker, on the other hand, he had both the resources and intel to know about it. His only interest is making money and self-perseverance as well. All that fat fuck wants is to save his own ass. As we know, the Benefactor suspected a threat to the galaxy even before the Reapers, and after their encounter believed the rumors. The Yark Broker could simply have read the mission reports of the Alliance, considering he made his living with trading secret information. Now, depending on whether or not the DLC was played, Liara or both of them are alive. Perhaps. It's not known how long Yark are able to live normally, but then again, Liara is outruled because they set off before she could even become the Broker, which leads to the last point. Liara has a good heart, deeply caring for the well-being of her friends. She would never be willing to work together with the cat, or even order the murder of Garson. The Jagdbroker would probably be willing to do so, but he is either dead or alive. Since we were unable to import save games, we don't know which of the two is canon, so he's out too. You might say that's good and all, but why the fuck cat? As I said, everything I've read so far seemed to have dismissed these 7 lines of text. One thing I've read is that it's simply a cat word that translates to Benefactor. As likely as that seems, every single time we open a message and it was translated, it says so at the top. Translated from Shelesh. I've read that more times than I can count. So dismissing this message as simply coincidence in translation would be ill-informed. Let's go through it line by line. Titled as Dispatch to Cat Base. Not so much here, aside from the fact that it was directly sent to the base itself. Considering we find this message in the exaltation facility on Voeld, this message was sent to another base. It's possible that it's referring to the Archon's ship, but then it probably would have said so. What other cat bases are there? We got Voeld, not the temple, but the base itself, the one we can shut down, and also the one on Eos. Benefactor. Already interesting. This, after the title, is the first line. Notice how it didn't say that it was translated from the cat language. Still, people seem to think it's a translation mishap. So this message was addressed directly to the Benefactor, who is apparently in some cat base. Considering that this message has a friendly, almost reverent tone to it, we can safely say that it is not held captive and there of its own free will. I hear that you're having good success on yada yada Eos. This is perhaps the reason people think it's simply a translation of another word for Benefactor. But then again, every species got their own names for planets. Hell, every language got names for different planets. Considering that this message was probably written by a cat, they sure as hell don't call the planet Eos. Eos is the name of a Greek goddess, and I sincerely doubt that the cat believe in Greek gods, so they have their own name for it, which as the only translated word comes out as Eos. My transfer to this place was a good idea. There's so much to learn. From this we learned that the Benefactor has some form of authority over the cat. It's not like you can simply tell them to fuck off and bother another planet, otherwise Ryder would have done the same. Leads me to believe that it's either possibly cat itself or some other race, but a respected ally or backer of them. I'm grateful you suggested it. Apparently the Benefactor was the reason that this, however you pronounce that, was transferred to the facility on Voeld. To whom it suggested it is unclear, but considering that the cat hierarchy is a strict one, I doubt this of low status. The soldiers do as they're told, and don't ask for transfers unless they are somewhat higher up in the chain of command. Assuming is a cat, possible it might be a destined, or someone even higher. If we think about the first contact of the cat and Angara, some of the Angara actually helped the cat willingly, so this could actually be an Angara as well. Whether or not it might have been exalted is unknown. Let's meet again. Now we get to the meaty bits. Not only does the Benefactor have authority over presumably cat, but also met them personally. When we first landed on Habitat 7, they didn't seem very interested in talking. Like, at all. So either the Benefactor is of a species that is not from the Milky Way, or it might have told the cat about us. Or at least... So why would anyone meet with the cat? One reason could be power. If the cat were successful in their goal, they would have had exalted the entire cluster. Angara, humans and everyone else included. That is their original goal and the reason they came to the cluster in the first place. In a cutscene we observe a conversation between the Primus and the Archon himself. In that very scene, the Primus, who's presumably the Archon's second in command, tells him that questions about his intentions are being asked from high above. They aren't happy with his obsession of the Remnant, and then proceeds to tell him that their orders were to exalt the cluster and be done with it, expanding the Cat Empire. Perhaps you would be interested to see my homeworld, like you once showed me yours. Clusterfuck of possibilities. So, whoever that might be has seen the homeworld of the Benefactor. Now, if it is an Angara, that would mean either Havar, their ancestral home, or Aya, their kinda new homeworld. Could the Benefactor bring a cat to either? Havar, easily. Not uncommon for cat to be seen there, I assume. Aya, on the other hand, is a bit more tricky. Even Ryder and his team were only allowed entry to Aya after they saved the Moshai. Not to mention that the route to Aya leads through the Scourge, and no maps of that route exist. It is simply learned by memory. And assuming is cat, the homeworld he wants to show it is Sarhessen. In harmony... This is the ending of that particular message. Rather uncommon, don't you agree? From what we know, the Angara do not enter conversations with in harmony. They almost exclusively use stay strong and clear, or something about stars being bright. So this ending could point to the cat. The Empire believes that exaltation is a gift for lesser races, and they seek to bring this gift to as many people as possible. So their ultimate goal is to unite everyone under their leadership, everyone in harmony. From these 7 lines of text, we possibly have learned more about the Benefactor than the rest combined, assuming I'm not pulling at loose strings and my theory is a load of horseshit. But we still don't know what the Benefactor is. Depending on how old that message is, the Benefactor is currently on Eos, or at least in the Helios cluster, working on something we have yet to find out. The cat only came to Helios 75 years ago, so that message can't be that old, which leads to believe that it can possibly be Tim, because, you know, kinda hard to order people to assassinate Garson and meet with Cat with your brains being splattered on the Citadel walls. Spoilers, by the way. It being Liara is also most likely out of the window, since the order to kill Garson was given around the time the Nexus decided to facehack the Scourge. I also sincerely doubt they managed to smuggle a Yak aboard the Nexus, but whatever it is, we will find out one day. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, I would love for you to support me by commenting, leaving a like or subscribing to my channel if you want to. I can't actually make you do anything. Cheers again, and I will see you in the next one.